Hello first graders, welcome to a new math lesson. We are in unit 13, lesson 2. We still learning about time. You have learned how to tell and write time to hour using an analog clock, which is clock with two hands. If you remember, the short hands point to an hour, and then the minute hands point to the minutes, which is the long hands. And then we know that there is 60 minutes in 1 hour. We also learned that in order for the short hand or the hour hand move one number, like move for example from 10 to 11, just one number, the minute hands or the long hands need to go one round around the whole clock. That's mean 60 minutes or 1 hour. And as we see, before it was 10 o'clock, now is 11 o'clock. Today, for example, let's say it's 4 o'clock. I learned last week, our last lesson, how to do 4 o'clock in analog clock. So what we do, we put center dot here, and then we draw the two hands, one short, one long, so one pointing for hour and one pointing for the minute. So I'm gonna go like that. Let's say it's 9 o'clock. So this is my hour hand pointing to 9, and then the minute hand pointing to 12. That means it's 9 o'clock. How to write 9 o'clock in a digital clock? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna write the number 9, and then we have this a column. It's like two dots on the top of each other, and after that we're gonna put zeros. That means it's 9 o'clock, no minutes with or after, so it's 9 o'clock. So now the time is, if I look here, 9 o'clock. If I look at my digital clock, 9 o'clock. All right, let's say the time is 7 o'clock. Now I know what to do. Put my center, point the short hand to the hours, so 7, and then the minute hand or the long hand to the minutes. So now it's 7 o'clock, and I'm gonna write 7, and I have the column, and I'm gonna put two dots after the column. That means it's 7 o'clock. Let's go for number 3, and let's say it's 4 o'clock. So now I know, with my center, short hand point toward the hours, point to the 4, and then the long hand to the 12. That's mean this is my long hand, that minutes hand. So what's the time now? 4 o'clock. I'm gonna write 4. I have the column, then I put two zeros after the column. That's mean it's 4 o'clock. So if I look at a time like that, a digital clock or analog clock, they're both, I can see it's 4 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock. All right, let's do another example, number 4. Let's say it's 10 o'clock. So put my center, point, draw my short hand that point to hours, and then the long hand that point to 12, which is telling me the minutes, and the short hand giving me the hours. What's the time? 10 o'clock. So I'm gonna write 10. Then I have the column, I'm gonna put the 20. That's mean it's 10 o'clock. All right, let's turn the page and read the explanation we have here. Look, each breakfast at 7 o'clock, and we see short hand pointing to 7, long hand pointing to 12. That's the minute hand, that's the hour hand, so it's 7 o'clock. This clock shows 7 o'clock, like here. This clock shows 7 o'clock another way. 7 tells the hour, and the two dots tells the minutes. So the digital time. So this is like what we did here. Remember, 9 o'clock, it shows 9-minute digital, 4. All right. So 7 o'clock is the same as 7 colon 00. So if you see it this way, or you see it in a digital clock or an analog clock, they both are the same. If like that, I'm gonna read 7 because I see my hour hand pointing to the 7, so it's 7 o'clock. And over here I see 7 and 2 zeros after the column. That's mean 0 minutes, no minutes, so it's 7 o'clock. All right. Let's do the guided practice. Draw the hands on each clock face, then write the time on the other clock. So we're gonna look at the time, what's written, we're gonna draw it on the clock face or the analog clock, and then we're gonna do it also on a digital clock. So let's see, the first one is done for us. I look at the time here, I see it's 3 o'clock. So this is 3 o'clock. So as you see, the shorthand or the hour hands point to the 3, and then the minute hand pointing to 12. That means it's 3 o'clock. And then when I come to the digital clock, I'm gonna write 3. I have the column, then I'm gonna put 2 zeros. All right, let's go for number 2. 5 o'clock. I know what to do. I'm gonna put my center. I'm gonna come, shorthand point to number 5, because that's the hours one, and then the long hand or the minutes hand point to 12, and it's 5 o'clock, and I'm gonna write it like that. 5, I have the column, then 2 zeros. Okay, number 3, what's the time? 12 o'clock. So 12 o'clock is a bit tricky, but it's easy. 12 o'clock, all right, with my center. Let's see first, my hour hand point to the 12, and then the minutes hand also point to 12. So it's 12 o'clock. I will come to the digital clock and I'll write the number 12. I have the column, then I'm gonna put the 2 zeros. Okay, number 4, 11 o'clock. Now I know it's easy. Putting my hour hand, then the minute hand. Hour hand point to the number 11, and the minutes hand point to 12, so that's mean it's 11 o'clock. And I'm gonna come in my digital clock and I'm gonna put number 11, and after the colon I will put the 2 zeros. All right, do you understand? How far does the hour hand move in 1 hour, and how far does the minute hand move in 1 hour? So let's say, look at my analog clock here. So it's 11 o'clock. I want you to pay attention to the hour hand, the short hand, the red one, and see how long or how far does it move to go 1 full hour. See, just from one number, like from just a small, from 11 to 12. Let's go for another number. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. Now I would like you to pay attention to the minutes hand, that long hand, the blue one, when the hour hand will move from 2 to 3. A whole circle around the clock, 60 minutes. So in order for the hour hand to move one number from 2 to 3, the minute hand has to go 1 whole circle around the clock. All right, we need to put this down on our sheet here. So let's say the hour hand moves from one number, as we saw in our example, to the next. But what happened to the minute hand? The minute hand moves once around the clock face. One whole circle around the clock face. So look at it. It's 3 o'clock now. In order for the hour hands to move one number from 3 till 4, look at the blue hand or the minute hand, have to go all the way to 1 full round around the clock face. and then the hour hand move one number from 3 to 4. Okay, let's do independent practice. Draw the hands on each clock face, then write the time on the other clock. So it's exactly what we did for the first 4 exercise. We're going to do it here. So it's 2 o'clock. We're going to draw the hands. So okay, short hand, hour hand pointing to number 2, and then the minutes hand pointing to 12. And over here I'm going to write 2. After the colon I'm going to put the zeros. All right, number 6, 4 o'clock. So now I know. Toward the 4, then the minutes hand toward the 12, and I'm going to write here 4 o'clock. After the colon, after the 2 dots on top of each other, I'm going to put my 2 zeros next to each other, which is presenting minutes. 6 o'clock. Okay, short hand toward number 6, and then long hands or minutes hand toward the 12. That means 6 o'clock. Again, I'm going to write 6, and I'm going to put the minutes, which is 0, 9 o'clock. Hour hand pointing to 9, minutes hand pointing to 12, and now it's 9 o'clock. I'm going to write my hours here from analog clock and digital clock. Okay, let's see what we have here. Algebra. Write the missing times. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, very good, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, very good, 11 o'clock. So I'm moving up one number or one clock. All right, let's turn the page and go page 422 and see the exercise we have over here. Number 10, Paul starts riding his bike at 1 o'clock. He rides for 1 hour. What time does Raul stop? Draw the clock hands, then write the time. So Raul starts riding his bike at 1 o'clock. So let's go 1 o'clock. Okay. So he rides his bike for 1 hour. 1 hour means the minutes hand, the long hand or the blue hand here is gonna go one whole circle, and then the hour hand will move only one number. So let's do it at 60 minutes. That's mean 1 hour. Go all the way, one whole circle on the clock face. So 2 o'clock. So that's mean if he gonna ride the bike Raul at 1 o'clock, after 1 hour it's gonna be 2 o'clock when he stopped. It's gonna be 2 o'clock. So we need to put this, we need to draw it. My point hand toward number 2, and then the minutes hand to 12, and then I'm gonna write here 2 o'clock. All right, number 11. Which clock shows the same time as this clock? Look at this clock. What's the time? Our hands pointing to 8, minutes hand pointing to 12, so it's 8 o'clock. So I'm looking for 8 o'clock here. Let's see. A is 12, B 8 o'clock, C 6 o'clock, D 5 o'clock. I'm looking for 8 o'clock, so my choice is B, circle B. All right. Journal. How are a digital clock and a clock with face different? How they're different and how they're alike. We know they're both still the time, right? So they both will have the same time. If it's 5 o'clock here, it's going to be 5 o'clock on a digital. As we see here, 8 o'clock here, it's going to be 8 o'clock here. When it's 2 o'clock in an analog clock, it's 2 o'clock in a digital clock, right? So what we say, we're going to say they're both give the same time. So both clocks show the same time. But one uses 2 hands in a circle, and the other uses a number separated by a colon and zeros, right? So one have hands and a circle, and one just show numbers. So we're gonna write this down. So one uses two hands in a circle, and then the other hand, or the other clock uses number separated by a colon. So that's what we have for number 12. Okay, so today we covered more exercise, telling and writing time to the hour, but this time we use that digital clock, the clock with the number, and we know that it's going to be a number separated by a colon and then zeros, and then we practice using again the circle clock, or the clock face, using short hand, which is hour hands, and the long hand, which is the minute hand. All right, so that was it for today, first graders. Thank you. Bye bye.